of me is missing. Another voice piped up. And you're missing your brother Cecil too, no doubt. Good that they're together, though, eh? Yes. Elsie didn't like where this was leading and was glad when Peggy intervened. Leave it, girls. Me asking about Dot weren't meant to start an inquisition. We don't want to go stirring up Elsie's sorrow. I'm sorry, Elsie, love. I should have thought before I opened me ugly mug. Insensitive, this lot are. It's all right. None of it's far from my mind, but I cope. Cecil, whom she affectionately called Cess, was the eldest of her brothers and only a year younger than herself. She knew these women suspected the truth about Dot and Cecil's relationship. They all knew how sweet they'd always been on each other, but she didn't want to confirm it. Now, let's get on. We need to get this batch in stock and get ready for the early season fruits coming in. This is the last of the marmalade. The making of marmalade kept the factory in production during the early winter months of each year. The first shipment of oranges came in from Spain just after Christmas, a time that had, in the past, seen them all glad to get back to work after a forced 2-month layoff due to there being no local fruit available. Elsie was proud to think that with her and Millie now working as partners, and with Jim Ellington, their new manager, introducing the manufacturing of pickled onions as a new venture, the usual closure of the jam factory during November and December hadn't happened. For the first time in her memory, the women and their kids hadn't gone hungry, something she knew they'd all dreaded each year, as she had herself when she was in their position. Since being a young girl of 13, she'd worked here, and the starvation months had been difficult to get through as she tried to look after her brothers. Although the factory remaining open hadn't been down to her, the women thought it was, and this helped Elsie's situation. Making her way up the stairs to the office, Elsie found the conversation she'd just had haunting her. She so longed to see Dot and Cecil. She knew she should feel happy and settled, grateful even, that after her life had been torn apart, she'd landed on her feet. But although everything had changed for the better and beyond all recognition, she still mourned the old days. And more than that, she longed for everything associated with all that had happened last year to be over, and to find a niche in life and not always seem out of place. She hated the feeling that she was no longer part of the world she'd grown up in, and yet she didn't feel she belonged to this new world that she'd suddenly been catapulted into. When 2 o'clock came, Elsie was glad to leave the factory. She and Millie worked part-time at the moment, as they had so much stress to cope with. However, slipping into the back seat of Millie's car and greeting the driver, then snuggling into the soft leather beside Millie, only enhanced Elsie's feelings of being a misfit. Millie sensed her mood. "Are you all right, Elsie? You're very quiet." "Oh, you know, the usual. Missing Dot and Cess, not to mention worrying about the future." Millie took her hand and squeezed it. "I miss Dot too, and I dread what we have to face. But we cope most of the time, helping each other through it. You can always talk to me, Elsie. No one understands better than I do." "I know. It was the women's banter that unsettled me. They're naturally curious about Dot and Cess, and I can sense them making assumptions that aren't far from the truth. If their gossip reaches Dot's mum, she'll go completely over the top and could cause such a lot of harm. I don't think she will. She might even relent and let Cecil and Dot marry, then all the gossiping will be stalled. Anyway, worrying about what might happen doesn't help us. We have to get through each event as it occurs. And we will, Elsie. Look how far we've come already." Elsie had no time to answer as the car pulled up outside their home. Well, Millie's home, really, and Barridge, Millie's butler, opened the door for them. As they ran up the few steps and entered the hallway of the imposing 3-storied house that backed onto Burgess Park just off the Old Kent Road, Elsie wondered for the 1000th time if she'd ever get used to this grand lifestyle.